multiplying both sides by the fraction coefficient's reciprocal. A lot of big vocabulary in there. Coefficient is the number of x's I have, so the number that comes with the x in front of the x. Reciprocal, remember, is if I take a fraction and I flip it. For example, if I have 1/4, the reciprocal would be 4 over 1. And why that is important is because 1 times 4 equals 4. 4 times 1 equals 4. So together that is equal to 1. So the reciprocal, I take it, I flip the numerator and the denominator, because then when multiplied together, they equal 1. So I am going to start with multiplying both sides by the fractions coefficient reciprocal. So if I look at here, I have 3/5 x, so I'm going to flip that fraction to the reciprocal and multiply it by 5 over 3. Well, if I do it to one side, I must do it to the other side. 5 over 3 times 3/5 x is going to leave me with 1x. So 1x equals 60 times 5 over 3. And we know 60 over 1 is the same as 60 because anything over 1 is itself. When I multiply fractions, I am multiplying straight across. If you've listened to the other videos, you'll hear me saying a lot of the similar things because these methods are very similar to each other. So I am now left with x equals 60 times 5 is 300. 1 times 3 is 3. Can't leave my fraction like that. I can never leave the numerator, the top number, larger than the bottom number. So I do 300 divided by 3, and x equals 100. This method will work if I have fractions. The important thing to remember is I am multiplying by the fractions coefficients reciprocal. So in this case, I have two fractions, but I don't want to multiply by the reciprocal of 3/7 because that won't give me 1x. The goal is to figure out how 1x, or in this case 1b, what's its value. So I'm going to multiply this side by 5 over 2, so I must multiply the other side by 5 over 2. Remember, 5 over 2 times 2/5 is 1. So I have 1b equals 3/7 times 5 over 2. Again, and if I multiply fractions, I am just multiplying straight across. No common denominators are needed because I'm figuring out how many sections of one that is, if you think back of our area models for multiplying fractions. So I'm left with v equals 3 times 5 is 15. 7 times 2 is 14. Again, I don't want to really turn this into a decimal because I'll get a repeating decimal, which isn't as fun to work with. It's harder to report out. So I'm going to leave it as a fraction, but I need to turn it into a mixed number because I can't leave my numerator larger than my denominator. So 14 goes into 15 one whole time with the remainder of 1 out of 14. So my value is 1 and 1/14.